Hello there. All right, I watched Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway, and like I expected, it was a courtroom drama, but it did have to do with like the foster care system. It was crazy. It was crazy. So they kept. I don't know how to start this. I don't really know how to start this. So she basically, it starts out with her kids being taken from her, and she's chasing after a car, and then it goes back 24 hours to her basically being investigated, and they're going to go to the last day. It turns out that apparently one person saw the husband smack the wife, so they reported it. And in Norway, if there's like a family domestic issue, they'll do a family investigation. And the investigation found that the mother was mentally ill, and they chose their wording wrong. That was absolutely wrong. The mother mentally ill? No. Mentally unstable? No, it wasn't mentally unstable. She was emotionally unstable. They do a great job showing that she is emotionally unstable. She is overly reliant on her children. Like she's overly motherly, but she gets no love and affection from her husband. Her husband absolutely hates her. They do a great job showing that the husband is an absolutely deadbeat human being. The problem is because they go so hard on making her so emotionally, and I guess that it works to how it really was, because her kids are taken from her. She gets no moral support or emotional support from her husband. Her husband keeps blaming her for everything. And it makes her do reckless things that make her seem like she's unfit. Like she's being told that in the system, you must be quiet while in the courtroom. Let the attorney speak for you. You can speak to the attorney. You can ask for a sidebar and talk to your attorney. But she keeps speaking out of turn, even though she's been told repeatedly that that is not allowed. So immediately I was feeling like she was being disrespectful, and she was proving them right by speaking out of turn, even though she was emotionally unstable, because again, it went back to the husband not caring for her, the husband not. So this movie is like 2 hours and 15 minutes. It feels like a 3-hour movie because there is no one to actually relate to. There is no one you sympathize with her, but she's doing things that I feel like a lot of people wouldn't do if they were in a loving relationship, because they would be getting the emotional support from their spouse. Here, she's doing things that is just unfathomable for people, because she's alone in everything. Her husband's not there for her. She's not allowed to speak to anyone. Her in-laws are absolutely dreadful people. And then finally, when everything starts to go her way, her husband files for divorce because his brother-in-law is being his brother is being granted custody of the kids. And through that, he is getting paid like half of the 50,000 larks. He's getting paid half of that, apparently. It's going to the family because his brother is taking care of the kids when it's even a worse situation. And it's just crazy. The fact that it goes from the courtroom in Norway to a higher court and then the Supreme Court in Norway, only to find out that she fails at every turn. Then she has to bring in like the business side of it. The fact that they're talking about how she basically almost breaks an entire deal between Norway and India just because of how they were treating her. And which makes sense. You don't want that. But the problem is they grant custody to the father, and then the father to the father's brother, and then the father files for divorce because he wants nothing to do with this woman. He always has seen her as mentally unfit when she isn't mentally unfit. She's emotionally unfit. There is a difference. You can get treated for that kind of thing, because honestly, being emotionally unstable isn't healthy for kids either. But the fact that they kept saying she was mentally unstable pissed me off. Every time I heard that, I wanted to slap the husband. I wanted to slap the foster care people. I wanted to slap the attorneys, just because they kept saying mentally. It's like, no, you can tell that it's emotionally unstable. And then you look at the father who doesn't care. You can tell where that emotional instability comes from. It's the lack of someone there not caring. And it was just insane. I felt disgusted with some of the aspects, but it was the fact that I couldn't relate to anyone. And the fact that because it was the very end of the film where you like her. And what's funny is the pacing actually slows down because it goes to the courtroom in India. because it's not just her, Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway. It's also versus India or her husband in order to get her children back. Her children back. So from her in-laws, to get them back from her in-laws who aren't treating the kids right. It is insane because she's going through everything. And that point right there is where she's calm. It's where she's had time to learn how to handle the court system, not to throw all her emotions into everything, because when she does, she seems crazy. So she, at the very end of the film, that's where she's relatable, because she's concrete, she's structured, she knows what she's doing, she knows how to get her kids back, and she's just going by the system. She's remaining quiet in the courtroom until spoken to, because if she would have done that in Norway a long time ago, she would have had her kids back. Even the attorney, I mean, it was a cruel thing to say. I was hoping he would just say, "I'm sorry," but no, he's all, "If you wouldn't have done that, we could have," and then he just stops and then puts his hand on her back and then leaves. But it's just like, I thought he was just going to say, "I'm sorry," because he tried. But we know that she ruined it by acting out on her emotions. So her emotions kind of put a huge barrier on everything. Of course, her emotions also brought in the fact that businesses to remove their business from Norway. So it worked out in the end, but still, it was just insane movie. And the fact that it's based off a true story is even more nuts. More nuts. I mean, I know like I was saying in my reaction to the trailer, the foster care system is it has bad connotations to it. So in California, at least, I know they're trying to call it something different, but it's still the foster care system. You're just going to make that new name have the same history as the foster care system. Changing the name isn't going to do anything. It's changing the system in and of itself. It was just, you see the husband is just absolutely hateful human being. Refuses when the wife starts calling for help. She's calling him, refuses to answer, refuses to talk to anyone. If it's not going his way, he doesn't care. And the fact that his sole focus in life is to get his citizenship in Norway. He doesn't care about the kids. He doesn't care about his wife's mental state, emotional mental state. I have to clarify there because they kept saying like mentally, no, emotional mental state. He didn't care. It was all about his citizenship. You have to do this. You have to do this. I don't want to lose my citizenship. I didn't like him. I didn't like him. I absolutely did not like him. And of course, it ends on a good note. After 3 years, basically, of fighting battle after battle, she is granted her children. I mean, it kind of reminded me of the story of there was this couple that went on a honeymoon to Mexico, and the husband died, like, I think it was bungee jumping or paragliding or something. Like, he died in the process. And here, the wife had to struggle to get the body back. It was a huge thing. And imagine, and that's with a corpse. With a corpse, it took like a year or two. And here, there are kids. There are 2 kids that she had to get from Norway to India. And then in India, she had to get it from her in-laws who weren't treating the kids right. Why? Because it was a business. They were getting paid to have the kids. They were getting paid by Norway to have the kids. She didn't want the money. She just wanted her kids. Yeah, so it's just one of those things when it comes to like cross-border type things. It is insane. And the fact that she was able to push through, even though if she would have not been so emotionally unstable, she would have gotten them back a long time ago. But it was just sheer disgust. The whole foster care system there was a complete joke. It was a business. It was a complete business. Take kids from here, give them somewhere else, so that way they have more taxpayer dollars to give to that family, and that they can hold on themselves. It was just disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting, and it is like that at some places. It's just, oh. Thank you all for watching. Talk to you next time. Toodles.